Alright, welcome back to my YouTube channel. After all, make sure this is working so y'all can hear me. Hold on, I just want to make sure that this is working. This on? Hold on. Alright, it's on. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome back to my live stream. This is Jacob Cat 2024. We're gonna do my WWE WrestlePalooza 2025 pay-per-view prediction, and then we're gonna do AEW All Out pay-per-view prediction. This will be like an hour and 10 minutes. We will talk about the prediction for both pay-per-view tomorrow night, and we are going to talk about SmackDown review. So hit that like button, leave a comment, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the support. My video is sponsored by my favorite podcasters and YouTubers like Fightful Pro Wrestling, Solomon the Sound Off, JD from New York, and other podcasters I know of. Hope y'all can enjoy this video. I will make more NBA 2K17 videos. I will make NBA 2K26 my career. I will finish up Batman Arkham Knight. Maybe I will go back to playing Fortnite. We'll have to see. But enjoy this video. We will talk about SmackDown. We'll talk about the news and rumors. And we will talk about the pay-per-view predictions here. SmackDown, now it was a go-home show. SmackDown was, I don't know what to say about this. I mean, SmackDown was whatever. Felt kind of boring. I think we only had like 3 matches. We had 2 tag team matches, and then we had an open challenge with Sami Zayn and Carmelo Hayes. You don't know what's interesting with the backstage segment. The show opened up with Brock Lesnar. Still, no explanation, no reason of why he feud with John Cena. We did get a vignette between Brock and John. Brock Lesnar came out, he F5'd Corey Graves. I think he F5'd Michael Cole. But he F5'd Corey Graves, beat the crap out of him. Yes, I think the only interesting thing about that whole segment was that Brock went back there to Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman came back after he was taken out by Roman Reigns. But he came back and said to Paul, we need to talk. So something set up. Maybe we'll see Brock at Crown Jewels. That the next pay-per-view. So maybe something there. Something with Brock and Heyman. We got a vignette with a brutal history between Brock and Cena. The YSIT take out the Street Profits. They're setting up their feud. We had Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss defeated Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. Okay, Matt. We had Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. They destroyed Fascium and Nathan Fraser. Braun and Bronson looked dominant. And then we saw the Usos backstage. Obviously, they're hyping up this match. We'll see who wins that. We had Jay Cardell, Tiffany Stratton, and Nia Jax in a brawl. Obviously, they're still feuding. R-Truth explains how to download the ESPN app. And also, we got Sami Zayn versus Carmelo Hayes for the U.S. title and another open challenge match. Pretty good match. Very good. Sami Zayn's having an okay title run, but he has no feud with. They keep doing open challenges every week. And the closing angle of the show was the contract signing between Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes. That was fine. It was alright. Nothing much happened there. The only thing interesting was Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar when he said, let's talk. We need to talk. Clarity on Stratton's injury. Is Tiffany Stratton really injured? I guess we won't know. But yeah. We got no DQ. Alright, let's show the other podcasters. Hold on. Hold on for a minute.
SummerSlam in Los Angeles. So was good old JF, Jeff Meacham. He was traumatized from that event. His good friend John Cena beaten to a bloody pulp. talk more about that in just a few moments. We had our first match of the evening, which was Charlotte Flair and Alexa, when they could have accomplished the same thing. Wilson got thrown through .com/YouTube.
You know what? Hold on. Making sure I didn't miss anything so I can show y'all this. I can talk about it. I'm seeing news and rumors. Should AEW sign Andrade post the re-release? We have a vignette with Drew McIntyre. He gets really honored by Cody Rhodes. I did watch a little bit of NXT on Tuesday. Ripley and Bianca, Sami Zayn. We got a lot of main roster talent. Finn Balor. We saw Shayna Baszler. NXT Homecoming had some of the old guys in NXT. We had a stare down with Oba and Trick Williams. Trick Williams is still the Impact champion. We got Jason's arrest. It ain't gonna be OTC Live. It ain't gonna be on Raw on Monday. Was it still filming Street Fighter? Alright. Now, the 5 matches that were announced for WWE WrestlePalooza in Indianapolis, it's the first pay-per-view on ESPN. The 5 matches we know The Vision, Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker versus the Usos. And then we got CM Punk and AJ Lee making her in-ring debut in 10 years, going up against Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch in a mixed tag team match. And then we got Stephanie Valkyrie and Io Sky for the Women's World Championship. They will crown a new championship on Raw. And then we got John Cena and Brock Lesnar. The last time that these two are going to feud. Last time they got her match. And then the main event is Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. So those are your 5 matches for WrestlePalooza. Now they did confirm that John Cena and Brock Lesnar will open the pay-per-view tomorrow. John Cena's on the retirement tour, his last pay-per-view here. Last time we're gonna see him and Brock Lesnar. Now we all know the build had been shit. There's no explanation from Brock Lesnar or John Cena. John Cena was on Raw. He did what he could. Brock Lesnar, it's just lazy. It just random beatdowns. What we saw last week on SmackDown with the whole R-Truth thing, it wasn't funny. It was shit. That was a waste of a Brock Lesnar appearance, a waste of a segment. And what we saw here, when him coming out, he came to the ring. He grabbed Michael Cole, put him in the ring. He was gonna hit Michael Cole, but then Corey Graves got involved. And Brock Lesnar F5 Cody Rhodes, beat up Cody Rhodes for a bit. And that's what we got on the opener SmackDown. It's just shit. I hope this match is good. It might go like 10 minutes. I don't know who's gonna win. I think Brock might win. Actually, no, I didn't even care. I just want it to be over. I'm more interested in what did Brock Lesnar gonna say to Paul Heyman. Maybe we could get Brock Lesnar and Bronson Reed or Brock Lesnar and Braun Breaker. We could get something to him and Heyman. I'm more interested in that. That's the only thing interesting on the show. John Cena, they did say he's advertising for Crown Jewel, so I wonder who's he gonna face. Hopefully we can move on from that. And then the tag team match, The Vision, Braun and Bronson versus the Usos. I'm not sure who's gonna win. The way how they were setting this up, maybe the Usos will win. Because Braun and Braun have been looking strong, like very strong. I actually want to go with Braun and Bronson. I think they should keep that momentum. They should stay dominant. They need to win. We could see them going after the tag team titles. If they want to have the heel take on the heel Judgment Day. Or should it be the Usos? And the Usos take on the heel Judgment Day. Because Judgment Day's not doing anything with those tag team titles. And they probably should lose. But I don't know. I'm worried who's going to win here. But I think Braun and Bronson need to win this match. That's what I think they should do. Unless we see something with Jay or Jimmy. Maybe we see LA Knight get involved. We just won't know. So, yeah. Alright, so the other match I'm going to talk about, Stephanie Valkyrie and Io Sky. This will crown a new Raw Women's World Championship because the title was vacated because Naomi had to relinquish the title because she was pregnant. Stephanie Vauquer won the Battle Royal at Evolution, and she couldn't have Masterclass in Paris. They have been delaying it, so hopefully, I think Io Scott's well. I think definitely ready. She hasn't done much on SmackDown. She hasn't really done anything. She's been on TV for a while. She's been in segments here and there. I don't think she had a match on Raw in a while. I think Io Sky should win. There's actually a storyline with her and Asuka and Kyrie. There's some interaction with her and Rhea. So I think Stephanie should win. I mean, I think Io should win. I'm gonna go with Io. I don't think Stephanie's ready. Just like Jade's not ready for a championship because he hasn't done anything. So Io Sky should win. Alright, the other match I was talking about was the fourth match is AJ Lee making her first in-ring match in over 10 years. Teaming up with a Hump and CM Punk against Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, the mid-tag team match. The build had been great. The feud had been great. The storyline is there. It's been really good. The brawl that we had, the segment that we had on Raw, this looked like to be a great match. I can't wait for this. Yeah, so, hold on. Hold on. Um, I think Punk and AJ should win. This is AJ's first match. I'm curious how AJ's gonna wrestle after 10 years. He did look a little bit sloppy. She did take her first bump on Raw, but the main heel slam that Becky gave her. I think the babyfaces have to win. And I think the babyface will win to continue the feud and keep it going. Punk gotta get a win back on Rollins. AJ is her first in ring match in 10 years. Yeah, so I think I think the babyface are gonna win here. I think AJ and CM Punk are gonna win. It will continue the feud. We'll probably get singles matches at Crown Jewel. That if they don't do the champ versus champion in that whole Crown Jewel championship. So maybe we could see the feud continue going into Crown Jewels. I think Survivor Series is a little bit too long. I think Crown Jewels, hopefully. We'll have to wait and see. I think we will get singles matches. We could see AJ and Becky Lynch face off one-on-one for the first time. And then Punk and Rollins will have another match one-on-one. So I think Punk and AJ are going to win here. Should be a great match. Alright, now the main event, Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. Cody Rhodes had been off TV for about a month. Now he had to sell the attack after SummerSlam. He had to sell the attack from the beatdown that Drew McIntyre gave on SmackDown after SummerSlam. The SmackDown after SummerSlam. And then Drew McIntyre was in a feud with Randy Orton for a bit. Cody Rhodes had to sell the attack for a bit. He had to take time off because his wife Brandy had their second child. I don't know if he would film in Street Fighter. He might have been. But he was off TV for a while. He came back last week. And he had, well, probably because he had to be on WrestlePalooza and defend the title, the first title defense since he won it at SummerSlam from John Cena. This is a nice filler feud for these two. Yeah, this is a nice filler feud for these two. Um, yeah, so I think Drew McIntyre will. It could end a DQ or a countout. Maybe Randy Orton gets involved. But I think Cody Rhodes, I don't know if he's gonna win clean. Maybe some screwy finish that will continue the feud. We'll have to wait and see. But Cody's gonna retain, obviously. So yeah, those are your 5 matches for the pay-per-view. Okay. Alright. Now let me go into this. Joe Cronin.
Bro, we're getting there, brother. Oh, look at them. Oh,
I'm gonna look on the other YouTuber, Just Allen. Alright, come on. I'm gonna let another podcaster in the chat.
solid favorite. Like the video, subscribe, and click that bell to catch all my content when it comes out. Wow, yo, edit, help expand the brand by doing the following things. Join the membership, click that join button to get the opportunity to request a video of your choosing, whether it's a live reaction, a hot topic, or a review, past, present, or future. Also, don't forget to not stupid. I know the possibility of it not happening.
Alright, let's go into Fightful
Stay
Pro
with Kevin Costner every year. I love draft things, okay, but I'm so disheartened because they immediately get thrown out the window. Like last year, they were drafting people to both brands, and then people showed up in NXT the next week, and I was like, well, what are we doing here? Right. So I've lost faith in that. I also, because I am a sports fan, I love the trades thing. I feel like I more want them to pick a device and stick to it. Do you have any preference on what that looks like? Are you like, let's shake everything up and do a draft, or are you like, let's pick and choose which talent we send to which brand?
The beef will speak on WrestlePalooza.
Just pick a Canadian server or UK.
Why is it so damn slow?
Show tonight. They made that very clear. You know, I have to say, as I was watching this conclusion to this episode of SmackDown, which was not a terrible show, it was a solid enough go-home show, but there's a pattern that is developing here. Where would this show be if it wasn't for the Sami Zayn US title open challenge matches? Like, if you take those matches out of the equation and you look at SmackDown, like, fucking yikes. Seriously, where would this show be without those matches? Because those matches have become the highlight of SmackDown ever since they started. So, I don't know what that says about the rest of the show, but thank God we at least have that. What we had in the closing segment tonight was Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre. They are wrestling for the WWE Championship tomorrow. We now know that will be the main event of the show. They are closing the show with the WWE title match. That is the belief. We certainly know what match is not closing the show. We know John Cena and Brock Lesnar are opening the show. They did confirm that. But we had a contract signing with Cody and Drew, and we haven't really had a whole lot of interaction between the two of them because Cody was gone. He was away. He was filming Street Fighter, as Roman Reigns is right now. He's gone. He's filming. So in terms of the build-up to this WWE title match, we really haven't gotten a whole hell of a lot, right? McIntyre kicked Cody into the announce desk. That was over a month ago. Cody vanished. Cody came back. We got a contract signing, and when it was over, the champion was left laying. The challenger was standing tall. Probably doesn't bode well for Drew McIntyre, but I have to say, if they are closing the show with Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre tomorrow, they have to do something big. And the biggest thing that you could do would be to put the WWE Championship on Drew McIntyre, but I just don't see it. I don't see it. Cody is defending his title for the first time since winning it back at SummerSlam. This is his first title defense since beating John Cena. And they're just going to take the championship away from him? I would certainly consider doing it. I can't see them doing it. But if this is going to be the main event of the show, something big has to happen. Does that involve Randy Orton? Are we going to get a Randy Orton heel turn at the end of WrestlePalooza tomorrow? That would certainly be a big development. But I just can't see this being the main event and then doing just Cody beats Drew, right? How fucking lame would that be? Or just doing some sort of nonsensical finish without there being some kind of big angle that they do to close out that show. But they were in the closing segment on tonight's show. Brock Lesnar, as he will tomorrow, he opened the show, and he wreaked all kinds of havoc in the opening segment, leaving an announcer lane. He was attacking the announcers tonight. which is a very interesting way of building up his match here with John Cena. And the closest thing to any sort of explanation, and it's not really an explanation, but it's the closest thing to cling to as far as why he has been attacking John Cena, actually came later on in a video package where we got a little snippet from Brock talking about how John is on this staged, phony retirement tour, and I'm going to fuck it all up. That's the closest thing to an explanation that we've gotten of why Brock Lesnar chose now, after 2 years, to come back and go after John Cena. Of course, John Cena was not on the show tonight because he is done with SmackDown. We will not see him on SmackDown ever again here for the duration of his retirement tour. We did have another entry in the U.S. Title Open Challenge, thank God, because without it, my God, this show would have sucked. Sami Zayn defending the championship against Carmelo Hayes. Another very good match. We had the women's tag team titles on the line as well, which wasn't so good. It was fine. It was decent. It really wasn't anything special. And that's a great way to describe this episode of SmackDown. Not really anything special. They did the hard sell for the things they had to do the hard sell for, but the two key matches that they built up on this show, if you really think about the way they built those matches up, has left a lot to be desired. And the best built match on this entire PLE tomorrow involves a woman who has not wrestled in 10 years. That mixed tag match with CM Punk and AJ Lee against Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch is the best built match on that PLE tomorrow.
It is.
The two key matches on SmackDown, they've done the bare minimum of what they could do. Some people weren't available, whatever the case may be. But here we are, and it is still a 5-match card. There was talk of it being expanded to 6. In fact, there was a women's championship triple threat match that was listed apparently on some of the t-shirts for the show. Plans change. And it has nothing to do with an injury. We'll talk about that as well. This is your Friday Night SmackDown review. It is September 19th, 2025. I am the Solid Monster. Thank you for hanging out with me here on a Friday night. Do me a favor, like and subscribe. Super chats are open as well. We have a little goal going in the chat. You will see they will be triggered on screen as they come in. Shut the fuck up. Our friend Sidro is with us. Fuck that tree. Our friend Sidro is with us. How nice to see him. Hey, the Boba Fett's in the chat has the right idea. I've heard from a lot of people asking me about the VPN. That's how I will be tuning into WrestlePalooza tomorrow, and I suggest you do the same. Especially if you are someone who does not have access to ESPN and they're going to force you to pay $30 for this 5-match card tomorrow. I'm telling you, ExpressVPN and Netflix, that's all you need. If you got a Netflix account, you're good, man. These PLEs are still airing internationally on Netflix in most markets. So that's what he's doing, he says in the chat. That's what a lot of you guys should be doing tomorrow when you tune into WrestlePalooza. You'll thank me later. But yeah, get those super chats on in. I'm going to be reading your messages, and we'll have some fun with that. Also, I want to mention channel memberships, always open. And just before SmackDown went on the air tonight, I actually got up a new episode of the Lost episodes. This one's pretty cool. Among the Lost episodes of the Sound Off is this edition of SE Scoops Live from March 24th, 2008, right before WrestleMania 24. This was the old Monday Night Raw post show that myself and Noah Mark did for a period of time. And we had live call-ins, we did WrestleMania predictions, some cool stuff going back and listening to it. That is up right now, just went up tonight. If you are on the Legends tier channel members, you have access to that almost an hour of that episode of SE Scoops Live. You want to talk about going back in the vault. There you go. That's going back in the vault right there. So go ahead and check that out. More content to come. Now's a great time to become a channel member. Let's get into this show here, though. Talk about SmackDown. Sidro, again, thank you. I'm going to be getting to your message and everybody else's here as we go along. They open the show tonight with a shot of Michael Cole and Corey Graves. And by the way, Wade Barrett is scheduled back any week now. Wade Barrett was only taking 2 weeks off. He's going to be back likely. I don't know if he'll be there at WrestlePalooza tomorrow. I think Rusev. That's great and all. Where the fuck is Jacob Fatu? Boy, did they cool him off. Where's he been? No, but we got a vignette tonight with Tonga Loa and Solo Sikoa. It's ridiculous. Brock walks down the aisle. He grabs Michael Cole like a child, and he puts him over his shoulder. He proceeds then to walk around the ring. He circles the ringside area with him, walks up the ring steps, and then dumps him into the ring. And Brock follows him into the ring, and he had Cole in the corner. He was threatening to destroy this man. Corey Graves could take no more. Corey Graves is a man that sticks up for his friends, and so he puts his headset down, he gets into the ring, and he approaches Brock. This is like approaching a wild animal, you know, in a zoo. You're not supposed to get that close. Bad things could happen. And he's trying to calm down Brock Lesnar, which is a terrible idea. And so for his efforts, Brock grabs Corey, he picks him up on his shoulders, and he delivers an F5. And that is the first bump that Corey Graves has taken since he retired in, what was that, 11 years ago? 2014, I believe. Now, he's been medically cleared. For those who don't know, Corey Graves is medically cleared. If you wanted to wrestle, take bumps, he's been medically cleared for about 3 years now. He just chooses not to. So, every now and then, to use him in an angle like this could be very effective. So he gets laid out with an F5. The crowd starts chanting for John Cena. Lesnar grabs the camera, and he begins yelling into it, and he's saying, John, it's D-Day tomorrow. I'm coming for blood. That's as close to an explanation as we're going to get. That and that little snippet from the interview. You don't know what he's capable of. You don't know what he's, how far he's willing to go. I mean, that was the idea, basically, that they were driving home. But this is a match that has not had any real build. These two obviously have history together. They've had many matches before. But in terms of this one, this being their final one, there has not been much build to speak of here in this match, and it has been sold purely based off of the names involved. John Cena has a very limited number of matches left. Brock Lesnar is wrestling his first match in over 2 years. They're both big names, and that's how the match is being sold. And that might work for some people. It doesn't work for others. There are some people, I'm sure, who are very excited to see this match again. And I know there are a lot of people who are not. Doesn't mean they're not going to tune in, but it's hard to get overly excited for a match that either you've seen a bunch of times before, and now they're a lot older, or the story that you're looking for just isn't there. Whether or not this is a match that needs story, I guess we'll find out. We'll see, because this show has largely been sold off of this match. They're opening the show with it, but for all intents and purposes, this is the real main event. Of WrestlePalooza, when Joe Tessitore was on SportsCenter a few weeks ago and said the main event is John Cena against Brock Lesnar. It doesn't matter where it is on the card. It is. It really is. That whole show, look at the posters. This whole show has really been built around this match. But of course, they are opening the show with it. So Lesnar can get back to Saskatchewan as quickly as possible. I'll guarantee you that Lesnar, that plane is going to touch down on the tarmac up in Saskatchewan. The main event will not even be in the ring yet. Cody and Drew will not even have made their entrances down to the ring, and Brock will be back home safe and sound in Saskatchewan. He is going to get out of there as quickly as humanly possible. Now, when they came back from the break, Corey Graves was still face down in the ring. Producers were checking on him. Michael Cole pointing out to them, I think he said, his neck is starting to swell. I could have sworn that's what he said. Oh, look, his neck is starting to swell. He took 2 face bumps on the F5, but his neck is starting to swell. So they cut to the back. Brock is walking, and he stops in his tracks because he sees something. And he walks over, and the camera pans over, and what does he see? He sees his old friend and nemesis, Paul Heyman. Been a while since these two have come face to face. So they share a bit of a tense stare down here. And Heyman was not alone. He had Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed with him. So they share a tense stare down for a moment before Lesnar tells him, "We should talk." And then he walks off. Very interesting. So then Nick Aldis, the general manager of SmackDown, he shows up. He warns the Vision, "Don't cause any more problems tonight. I don't know why you're here, but I have a contract signing later on with Cody and Drew. I don't want anything messed up." And Heyman, he says, "Oh, we're looking for the Usos. Do you know where they are?" And Aldis says, "You know damn well that they're not here." And with that, Heyman and the Vision, they left saying, "We're simply here to enjoy the show." But that was a very interesting tease there between Lesnar and Heyman. My first thought when I see something like that, Brock is never going to learn. He's never going to learn. This man has turned on him twice in the past. Twice. In 20 plus years. You would think he would learn his lesson that this man is not to be trusted, but evidently he doesn't seem to mind, and he's still willing to do business with Paul Heyman. What kind of business, though? You know, Lesnar and Heyman as a duo, it's just such a natural pairing. If they really did want to put them back together, and I'm not saying Brock has to join the Vision, but if you wanted to put Lesnar and Heyman back together, I'm okay with that. It's a natural pairing. As natural as Undertaker and Paul Bearer were pairing for so many years, right? They just go so well together. It just makes sense. But my other thought, of course, ties into what's coming up in a couple of months, which is Survivor Series. And the very likely probability that the Vision will be playing a role in the men's War Games match. Now, right now, there's only 3 members of the Vision, right? Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed. So they would need some help if it's 4-on-4, if it's 5-on-5. But if you assume that they're going to be on the heel side of a War Games match, and now we have Heyman and Lesnar teasing, "Oh, we need to talk, right? We need to have a conversation." A conversation about what? Is it possible that Paul Heyman will enlist the services of Brock Lesnar to be, joining forces with the Vision in a War Games match? Absolutely, I think it's possible. And if so, I could see Lesnar and the Vision on one side, and maybe they need one more person, but you got that crew. And on the other side of the ring, you got John Cena, who's never been, as Brock, never been in a War Games match before. You can have John Cena, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, all on the same team. Or John Cena, Roman Reigns, and the Usos. Actually, what would be really cool? If they could figure out a way to work someone like Jacob Fatu into that equation. Again, he has been absent on SmackDown now for weeks and has been severely cooled off. Now, what I would like to see is if you're going to do something like that, work someone like him into the equation. Because you would have Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed on the other side, right? And Braun Breaker is someone who people look at as, the future of WWE, right? Oh, he's going to headline multiple WrestleManias. Guess what? So can Jacob Fatu. He should be worked into that equation as well. How about a John Cena, Roman Reigns, Jacob Fatu team with 1 or 2 other people? Against Brock and the Vision. I could see that vision. I could get behind that. That would be an interesting War Games match. So that I think is the first tease of what's to come. Because I don't know that we're looking at a full-blown reunion between Lesnar and Heyman, but if they're going to do business, what else would they be doing business for? If it's not tied into War Games in some way. So that'll be something very interesting to keep an eye on going forward. Holy shit. So whatever is going on with Piper, she has been MIA for several weeks now. Pair of challengers, who would be next in line for the Wyatts, especially on the babyface side, that would be of any real interest. And I'm drawing a blank here. We're at the top of the hour, and they're going to get some fucking football glimmer involved in some sort of a double clothesline spot, what Aleister Black did to him last week. Wilson got upset at Priest's demands because he's demanding a match with Aleister Black. And Wilson gets upset about this. He's telling all this. This is the classic case of toxic masculinity. And so he ends up being thrown through a wall into the adjacent room. What shitty construction they have backstage at these WWE shows. If I'm Kit Wilson, I'm filing a lawsuit. Unsafe work environment. How thin are these walls? That you just throw the guy right through it. And Nick Aldis, I love it too. He pulls out his cell phone and doesn't waste a second. Like, he pulls out his cell phone.
Here are the highlights of SmackDown.
If you're an illegal alien, this runway is your future.
Hold on, this is a commercial.
I'm Christine Owens, United States Secretary of Homeland Security. If
Hey,
you
what the hell?
download the CBP Home app and you safely self-deport,
Okay. Let's see if I can watch Denise Salcedo.
hey, instead of worrying about her spot, segment, if you show up like 30 minutes late, but then by then you're probably better off just waiting for it to come out on Access. So, the only reason... Amen. Netflix gives me my little timer, and that's how I usually know. So, I was a little, like, you're getting... Oh, The Miz. That McAfee show, they said it almost, like, makes it feel less...
Spectacle.
All right.
Sense of the word. I may not have liked the finish, but it... Well, because it's tradition.
This Cena and Brock, the rest of this video package, they certainly left out some key information about Brock Lesnar. Any
A few
thoughts
details.
Some convenient omissions, we'll call them.
Their SummerSlam match in 2014, which was unique in a completely different way. You did not see a top star, the biggest star in the company, squashed in a pay-per-view main event that way. Each of those times they found something to, they found a way to do the match that made it feel unique. And I'm just wondering how they can do that tomorrow to differentiate it from all the previous matches that these two have had. What can they do maybe that they haven't done before? You know what would be shocking if Brock went in there and actually wrestled the way that he used to wrestle during his first run, where he knew more than just suplexes. But I feel like that version of Brock Lesnar died a long time ago. Also, don't forget they were part of one of the best matches in 2015 in WWE, that triple threat match at the Royal Rumble with Seth Rollins, which was a tremendous match. So they've had some really good matches before. This is now 2025. You know, they're older. Obviously, Brock is still in great shape, but they're older. Cena is at the very end of his run. I mean, literally the final matches of his career here. But you saw the output from him last month with Cody at SummerSlam, with Logan Paul at Clash in Paris. With the right opponent, John Cena can go out there and can have a banger match. And I think he can do the same with Brock. I'm very curious to see how they structure this match. How long does the match go? Is it really in and out for Brock, 4 minutes? Are they going to have a 10 to 12 minute match, 15-minute match? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hmm.
John Cena with the right opponent can
Yeah.
still go out there and have a great match. At this stage of the game, is Brock the right opponent for him?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Me neither.
Won't have to wait very long since they're opening the show tomorrow.
Yeah.
We got a Solo Sikoa vignette.
What's Solo doing on TV?
Showed appreciation for Tonga Loa, who was the only member of the MFTs who was standing behind him here in this segment. Showing appreciation for the great Tonga Loa.
When Tom come back?
Showing loyalty to Solo since day one. He said that he owed it to Tonga Loa to be a champion, and that his loyalty would be rewarded as long as Tonga was part of his family tree. See, the great Tonga Loa, loyal to a fault. I would imagine that Tama Tonga should be back soon. I don't recall the nature of the injury that he sustained. It was many, many months ago. could very well be on his way back soon. I haven't heard anything said about him. They closed the show with the contract signing with Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship match at WrestlePalooza. Nick Aldis was in the ring to first introduce McIntyre. Before he could speak, Cody's music hit, and the champion came down to the ring. So Drew was sitting, Cody was standing, and Cody asked him, Drew, do you know what happened on this day 15 years ago? We won the tag team championships. And do you know who was backstage talking about that? Nobody. He says the fans don't even know all the lore. Sometimes they just pay their money to see two guys fight. I guess that's how they're justifying the Cena-Lesnar match tomorrow. Says he knows who Drew is. In the past, Drew has won a Royal Rumble. He's been a WWE champion. He slayed the Beast. He's 280 pounds. He's the Scottish Warrior. But lately, the Scottish Warrior has just been a keyboard warrior. So go ahead, pull your phone out. Let's go viral. Make a post on social media. Get one over on me because it's the last time you're going to get one over on me. And Drew did. He pulled his phone out. He tweeted something. He held his phone up, and they zoomed in on what he tweeted. And he tweeted, "Thank you, Cody." And Cody was a bit confused by this. And Drew said, no, thank you, Cody. All he wanted was a shot at the WWE Championship without anybody getting involved, without anybody screwing him over. This guy still has PTSD from all the times he got fucked over by the bloodline. But this is all he wanted. He wanted a title shot and a fair fight. Cody doesn't even think about himself anymore. He thinks about what's best for the company. He's the corporate champion. He kicked Cody's head. And by the way, this point here that he made is a very valid one. He says, I kicked your head through the announce desk. I put you on the shelf for 5 weeks. You were gone. And Cody comes back, and instead of stomping him, he's out here to talk him to death. I have had this problem before with people when they do like an injury angle, and then the person comes back, and if they're not all fired up, ready to murder someone, it's like, what are we doing here? You're right, Cody is the champion. He's the guy. And he got injured. And he was put out for over a month. When he came back, that first time he did like a run-in, but he's coming out here, he's all smiles. Where's that sense of, you know what, you took 5 weeks away from me after I had just won my championship back, you put me on the shelf, I'm going to fuck you up. That's not the version of Cody Rhodes that we got tonight. We had Cody coming out here and cutting a proper promo. So that's a fair point that Drew was making here. So he says they, being the fans, are going to turn on you because you're the flavor of the month. And then Cody is going to say, Drew was right. Cody said if Drew is wrong, his legacy then becomes the man who lost to Cody on their debut ESPN PLE for the WWE Undisputed Let's talk about a mouthful here. He definitely went into corporate Cody mode here. Oh, if you lose to me, you're going to be the guy who lost to me on the ESPN PLE debut for the Undisputed WWE Championship presented by Netflix. Shut the fuck up, dude. I want Drew to win the title tomorrow. Fuck it. Put the title on Drew. Shake this shit up. And just put the title on Drew. I think I've turned on Cody here in this promo. I think Drew was right. He's way too corporate for my liking. But with that, Cody signed the contract, and then Drew signed the contract, and then he delivered a Glasgow kiss to Cody. And Cody rolled out to the floor. McIntyre followed him, started kicking his ass. He was setting up for another Claymore through the announce desk. Cody was in the exact right position for him to do what he did to him all those weeks ago. And Drew hesitated. He was like, no. He had second thoughts about it. He said, I'm not going to kick your head through the table again. This match is happening tomorrow, and I'm taking that thing that means the most to you, the WWE Championship. And with that, Drew walked off. He said, I'm not going to screw it up for myself. As he's walking away, though, Cody comes flying out of the ring with a suicide dive. And the two of them brawled, and they had to be separated by officials. Drew, though, managed to break free. He delivered a running boot right to the face. And it was Cody on the ground with Drew telling him to sleep with the title because it's the last time you're going to have it for a long time. And that's how the show went off the air. Pretty paint-by-number stuff here as far as contract signing segment is concerned. We just had a contract signing actually on Dynamite on Wednesday with Kyle Fletcher and Hangman Page. And again, two very similar segments here. This one we had physicality that we didn't get in that one, but you know, we had these two segments within 48 hours of each other. I had to mention that. This is Cody's first title defense since winning the championship back at SummerSlam. It is hard for me to conceive of him losing the championship this early. I would be in favor of it, though. I think that if this match is closing the show, they better have something big planned, right? Their first big ESPN PLE, they're not closing with Lesnar and Cena, fine. Something has to happen here to really shake things up. This product could use a shakeup of some kind. And so I think, what could they do here that truly would be a shakeup, right? Or something that would catch people off guard. I think there are a lot of people who don't expect Cody to lose the championship, so him losing the championship would be one thing. But if he loses the championship, how does he lose the championship, right? He's not going to lose clean. Is that where Randy Orton comes into play? Or if Cody doesn't lose the championship, Randy Orton can still get involved. Randy Orton has beef with Drew. He may well have beef with Cody as well. Drew was the one a few weeks ago who I think was telling Randy about Cody not giving a shit about him. Maybe he talked it into his head. I don't, if Drew doesn't win the title, I don't see it as one and done, right? You got Crown Jewel coming up next month, but then I see that they're probably doing the champion versus champion matches. It was pointed out to me there was in the press release for Crown Jewel, the language in there indicates that they're going back to doing these champion versus champion, brand versus brand matches, which means we're probably looking at Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins at Crown Jewel. I can't imagine Drew wins the belt. We get Drew and Seth. So all signs point to Cody keeping the title. But the question is, what's the big angle? What's the big, maybe shocking twist if we get one at the end of this show? And to me, it would be a Randy Orton heel turn. You know, people talking about The Rock is gonna, he's gonna take Drew's soul. I don't want to hear about this shit. Fuck that. Fuck The Rock. I don't care about that. We've been down this road before. Enough with The Rock. The Rock has a movie coming out in a few weeks. He's gonna try to win an Oscar. He doesn't give a shit about this. Randy Orton being involved in some way makes sense. Randy Orton going heel. Easily could see that happening, and that would be a big shocking, maybe not so shocking, but it would be a big twist there that they could do at the end of the show. That's what I keep coming back to as far as what realistically could they do if they were going to shoot some big angle at the end of the show. That would be it. I mean, look, you can't rule out something like Rock just because it is the big ESPN debut and maybe they want to make a big splash, but again, he's got other shit going on. People forget about that. You know, I don't want to see him or someone else make a one-time appearance just for the sake of making an appearance unless there's a real story to be told there. So, I don't want to think about that. I don't want to hear about that. Focus on the here and now and who you have available and coming up with a compelling story that can then take you into television next week and take you on into Crown Jewel. I don't like this whole champion versus champion shit they do. To me, it's just like going back to the Survivor Series format from years ago when they did brand warfare. You know, and that got old. Didn't mean anything. But if that's what they're going to do, then to me, that gives away the finish here because I just don't see Cody losing that championship. I just don't see it. Should be a good match, though, but they better have more than just a good match. If they're going to close the show with it, they have to have something, some big hook to take you into TV next week for this show. And this being their big debut on ESPN, I'm sure they got something planned, whether it's for this match or something else on the show, but it would seem to point to something happening at the end of this match. We'll find out what that is. But the WrestlePalooza card is still a 5-match card. Here's what it looks like. Brock Lesnar against John Cena. We have AJ Lee and CM Punk taking on Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. We have Jimmy and Jay back together. The Usos taking on Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. we have the Women's World Championship to be decided. We are guaranteed to have a new champion on this show. It will either be Io Sky or Stephanie Vicaire. And if we're being honest, we win either way. Stephanie would be a great champion. Io would be a great champion. I think it's premature to put that title on Stephanie.
Yeah, me too.
I would go with Io. I'm sticking with Io for the win. And then Cody and Drew for the WWE Championship in the main event. Those are your 5 matches on WrestlePalooza. And yes, I will be covering WrestlePalooza live. I'll be watching All Out until WrestlePalooza starts, and then we'll transition over to that. Live on YouTube tomorrow night for WrestlePalooza, and then the Sound Off on Sunday. I will include my All Out review in the podcast, episode 930. So that is the plan for this weekend, so just be aware. Let's head over to Twitter. What did you think? The cesspool, that is Twitter. What did you think of the final SmackDown before WrestlePalooza? 36.2% thumbs up, 34.6% thumbs in the middle, and 29.3% thumbs down. That's almost a dead heat. That's almost a dead heat. Look at that. Look at that thumbs up and thumbs in the middle. Very divided opinion on this show here tonight. Let's get into your super chats. We are 6.
Alright, let's go into AEW All Out.
Offering a limited lifetime warranty on
I'm gonna go into my predictions of AEW All Out and the matches for that show tomorrow. I think it's on Sunday tomorrow.
All Out card coming up from Toronto next Saturday. By the way, the Dynamite numbers rebounded this week from 472,000 last week up to 584,000 this week. Still tied for the 3rd lowest total since May, but it's an improvement. Now, here's the card as it currently stands for All Out. Brody King and Bandito. They will be defending the AEW Tag Team titles in a 4-way ladder match. Why? Because why not? They're holding 3 qualifying matches for the other spots this Wednesday, with the Young Bucks against Juice Robinson and Austin Gunn. That'll be a win for the Bucks. Luchasaurus and Kip Sabian against Jet Speed, which should be a win for Jet Speed. And Top Flight takes on Josh Alexander and Hechicero, representing the Don Callis family, and they will almost assuredly be winning that match. So Brodito, the Bucks, Jet Speed, and the Callis family looks to be it. And I've got the Young Bucks winning the tag team titles, and I think from there, I think we get Cope and Christian eventually when they do win the titles, and they will. They win them from the Young Bucks. Eddie Kingston is coming back. He returned one-on-one against Big Bill. Eddie has not wrestled since May of last year against Gabe Kidd. It was where he broke his leg, he tore his ACL, he tore his meniscus. I mean, his leg and his knee basically were just destroyed. He also revealed this week that the day of the surgery, his insurance company, which had told him they would cover it, all of a sudden the day of, they said, you know what, we're not going to cover it. Which is a wonderful thing to say to somebody on the day of their surgery, when they're already stressed beyond belief. Not the first time they did that to him. On the day of a surgery, he said it happened 3 years ago, the day he was supposed to have hernia surgery. But Tony Khan stepped in this time to take care of it, even though he got hurt, technically in a New Japan ring and not an AEW ring. How many people does this happen to on a daily basis who aren't lucky enough to have a billionaire step in to pay for it? The healthcare system in this country is infuriating. The setup for this match wasn't infuriating, it was just a very random way to get Eddie back in the mix. It's a way to get him back and get him a win. Big Bill randomly called him out last week on Collision as a fellow New York guy. And that was it. That's how we ended up here. But then again, look, many years ago, a young man named Stone Cold Steve Austin started randomly calling out Bret Hart on television when Bret had been gone for months and months. And they ended up having a classic rivalry. I don't think Eddie Kingston and Big Bill are going to have a classic rivalry, but I do think Eddie Kingston is going to get the win here. I think that that's probably the easiest prediction to make on this entire show. Actually, no, the second easiest prediction to make on the entire show. Because we also have Mercedes Moné defending her TBS championship against Riho, who did not look great in that tag match on Wednesday. It was her first match back since July of last year. Riho is wrestling Robin Renegade on the September to Remember episode of Dynamite this Wednesday, which is actually a 3-hour block from 8 to 11 p.m. Years ago, Mercedes said that she would love to form a faction with the Renegade twins. And here we have one of the twins wrestling Riho. Maybe this is the start of that faction. Faction or no faction, Sydney Sweeney has a better chance of beating Mercedes for that belt than Riho does. So more than Eddie Kingston and Big Bill, I think the easiest prediction to make here on this card is that Mercedes is going to retain her TBS title. The Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, and MVP take on Ricochet and the Gates of Agony. Yeah, there were reports previously about MVP and the Hurt Syndicate not wanting to lose the tag team titles to FTR, and there were certain names floated that they would be willing to lose to, and the Gates of Agony were on that alleged list. Well, time to put your money where your mouth is, and this is a big opportunity for the Hurt Syndicate to put these guys over in a major way. So let's see what happens. I'm going with Ricochet and the Gates of Agony for the win here. MJF takes on Mark Briscoe. And what Briscoe said last night on Collision is going to be a tables and thumbtacks match. Tables and tacks. There's something we haven't seen before in AEW. Boy, I haven't seen one of those in a while. MJF is defending his CMLL title this Friday at Arena Mexico against Mystico. He will lose that championship. And then the next night, or the next day, I guess, he will redeem himself here. MJF will beat Mark Briscoe. Yeah, I forgot to mention that this is now a 3 p.m. Eastern show.
That is true, but you
so
think
I assume that means that the 0 hour is starting either at 1 or 1:30.
True, but you think
But it went from an 8 p.m. Eastern start time to a 3 p.m. Eastern start time for all the obvious reasons. FTR takes on Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. This is a match that has been on the radar, and I think fairly predictable now for many months that it was building to this. The build has been very weird. No more so than on Wednesday. Cope and Christian were not on the show. They had a pull-apart brawl the previous week, which was fine, standard stuff. They weren't there on the show on Wednesday. FTR was. They came out with Stokely Hathaway. It was their last night on, as far as Dynamite goes, at the 23 Arena. They wrapped up their residency with their taping the next night. But they came out, and the segment served no real purpose other than just to try to make them look like tough guys and put heat on them by trying to take a fight with the fans. Like they thought that they were transported back to the ECW Arena of old in 1997, and they were the Dudley Boys. They're not the Dudley Boys in the ECW Arena in 1997. But there you had Dax getting up in fans' faces. They're trying to start something. Then they ended up beating up the cameraman and his assistant, and it's like, okay, he's beating up production crew members. I don't know how this is supposed to put more heat on their match with Cope and Christian. This was just a very bizarre segment here. I don't know what the hell that was. So they got one more night on Dynamite. It's Takeshita from a direct loss, while Priester family would get involved. That doesn't necessarily preclude someone else who's outside the Callis family from getting involved in this match, although other than MJF, I'm not sure who that person would be. It doesn't matter, though. This should be a great match. Hangman Adam Page is going to retain the championship. Kyle Fletcher was not even the first choice to be in this spot. Again, Wardlow was reportedly going to be in this spot, and isn't only because he's hurt, so they slotted Kyle in there. So Kyle has even less of a chance of winning the championship than he did before we read about the Wardlow injury.
Alright, let's go to JD from New York. Let's see what he has to say about this. Oh, wait. This is AEW Dynamite. This is Solomon and JD. Let's listen to this for a little bit. Hold on, there's a commercial. Alright, get into JD from New York and Solomon. This is news and rumors, by the way.
Was that what happened tonight?
Well, he's wrestling Ethan Page,
Oh, wow.
the North American Championship. But throughout the day today, they were announcing all these big names, Sami Zayn and Bobby Roode, and Bianca Belair, trotting out all these old faces in Full Sail. So they're going to try to fit all this into 2 hours, and they're going to show people, what the Full Sail version of NXT used to be like, and then they're going to be back to the PC next week.
The best version,
in my opinion.
yes. A lot of people's opinions. It should be like everybody's opinions. I don't know. I mean, you can't compare that NXT to this NXT.
That's when I started watching NXT, is when they moved to the Full Sail.
Now, is this show like a special event? Is there something that they're celebrating, or is it just a random thing for a ratings pop? What is it?
It's a random thing for a ratings pop. I mean, they booked Full Sail a while back, and so it's sort of like an anniversary show in that because they haven't been back to Full Sail since pre-pandemic, they're doing a big celebration. I don't think it's tied into any specific date. It's just they had the venue booked.
Cameo, you guys know where to find Jason. Everything you need linked for him down below. That is Twitter and his YouTube channel as well. Make sure you guys get those super chats in. That is the best way to support what we do here on Tuesday nights. So they will remain open throughout the duration of this show, and we will go over your questions, comments, concerns, jokes, anything you want to send us at the end of the show. And 1,000 likes is usually the goal. I'm going to keep it at that. So 1,000 likes is the goal tonight. We hit it every single stream. So make sure you guys get that thumbs up in. And please leave us a comment down below, because both of those, the thumbs up and the comments, help us out in the YouTube algorithm. All right, man. Where do you want to go? What do you want to talk about, man? Busy week here.
Why don't we start with Saudi Mania?
Saudi Mania. Oh, man. I am very disappointed. Being disappointed and expecting this announcement is very valid. I think everybody expected this announcement for many years. But you can obviously be disappointed with the announcement, even though we kind of... That's where I'm sitting as far as this entire announcement. Now, I did watch the press conference, or I guess if you want to call it that. It was just a gathering of fucking suits and ties.
Yeah, there was no press there.
No, nothing. No press. Everybody looked zombified standing on stage. Fake smiles going on everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen hostage video where people in the video look happier than the wrestlers standing behind the dignitaries on stage.
It's ridiculous, but this is now confirmed, and I know my guy Dr. Evil Genius is in the chat. If you spoke to him 2 or 3 years ago, he probably would have predicted all this coming to be, because he's a big UFC guy, and when Vince sold to Ari Emanuel and TKO, or Endeavor, now TKO, he saw the writing on the wall. He was one of the first people to tell me that WWE is going to basically become a mini UFC the way they operate, and that's exactly what's happening here.
Well, I mean, didn't they just have an announcement on Monday Night Football last night that Tom Brady's coming back?
Yes, flag football.
In Saudi?
Yeah, and so's going for Gronkowski. This is why I said, bro, nobody believed me. John Cena's retiring this year, bro. You don't think he's going to be coaxed out of retirement in 2017?
Well, everybody jokes about how, they're going to want to bring all these old wrestlers back. Maybe they're going to bring back Joe Montana. They're going to bring back Michael Jordan.
Bring back Joe Namath, bro. What's Joe Namath? 80 years old?
That's a great one, Joe Namath. Hollywood Joe. Or Hollywood Joe. Broadway Joe. Yeah. Bring him back, too.
Anyway, this is coming from Fightful Select. Sean Rossett put this out. What we know about WrestleMania in Saudi, how it even ties into WrestlePalooza. Now, this announcement of WrestleMania was actually leaked early and then quickly pulled. But in a Snapchat video, Turkai Al-Sheikh said WrestleMania has been announced for the first time outside of America. WrestleMania in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in 2027 is basically what he said. Now, this is the first WrestleMania. I know a lot of people are like, well, JD, what about Canada? I mean, I look at that as just, the United States. I don't even, it's international, but this is like truly international, overseas, the first time WrestleMania is going overseas. Fightful Select and Sean Rossap immediately reached out to WWE in an official capacity. One higher up said, where there's smoke, there's fire, as far as the announcement was concerned, before it was outright confirmed. And then we got the announcement that we were all anticipating. He said Saudi officials have made their desire to have a WrestleMania in the country clear since virtually the start of this relationship between WWE and Saudi. Earlier this year, Fightful was told that there have been wheels in motion to have WrestleMania in Saudi, with the possibility of it being a super WrestleMania or other kinds of branding. I'll stop there. Now, I know many years ago, Jason, we got the greatest Royal Rumble, and I know you're probably thinking the same thing I'm thinking, in that when you listen to the people on that night and they're treating it as a Royal Rumble, and I'm just kind of covering my ears. I got my fingers in both of my ears. I'm not listening to anything in regards to this being an actual Royal Rumble. Nothing that happened on this show I count towards the statistics or the history of the Royal Rumble. It was just a show that they put on there, and it was for that country, and that's it. The rumor was that there could possibly get this announcement, and then along with it have another WrestleMania happen here in the United States. Now that would have been a fucking terrible idea, because not only do we not need 4 WrestleMania shows, 2 nights there and 2 nights here, man, you would absolutely be pouring out the whole concept of WrestleMania and just devaluing the importance of it in WWE and to the world of professional wrestling. Who the fuck would even want 4 WrestleMania shows for one singular year? What'd you think about that announcement, possibly?
I thought it was terrible. Not just for WrestleMania nights, for WrestleMania main events. And when would they do this? I mean, even if they did it in May or June, it's like you have SummerSlam, which they build up as the WrestleMania of the summer. SummerSlam now is a stadium show. SummerSlam's 2 nights. You basically have a second WrestleMania in August. So are you going to do another WrestleMania in between them? I mean, you talk about, beating a dead horse here. I mean, that would be just preposterous. I've heard other people also suggest maybe they were going to do one night in Saudi, and then night 2 would be somewhere in the States, which was never going to work. I mean, it was never realistic, because there's no way the Saudis are paying the money they're paying for one night of WrestleMania. If they're paying that much money, they want the full package, right? So they're not going to do one night here and one night there. So all of those ideas were just terrible. I didn't like any of those ideas. I didn't think they were practical. So I'm glad they didn't announce that. They made the decision they made to go there. I would rather they just stick to one location, wherever that may be, and go, and not, like what you just described, do something like that, because I just think it would just be terrible, and I just don't think it would work out well.
No, that's, I'm glad they didn't do that. I mean, there's still time for them to do that if they wanted to, but I'm hoping that's not the case. So Sapp continues on and says the belief internally was that the company was looking to establish WrestlePalooza. Now, you guys are probably wondering how WrestlePalooza ties into this. They want to establish WrestlePalooza, which is coming up on Saturday in Indianapolis. And that branding as an immediate big deal, and they want to make this on par with, how important WrestleMania is and how important SummerSlam is. I don't know what exactly that means, because this show was basically born 4 weeks ago out of fucking dust and nothing, and we all know why it's happening, because they're counter-programming heavily against AEW on the same weekend that they have All Out. What does that mean to you, Jason, that they want to make WrestlePalooza the same type of importance as some of their other bigger brands like SummerSlam or WrestleMania? I know we've discussed extensively that they want to move a lot of these shows to 2 nights. Do you see them actually doing that first and foremost with something like WrestlePalooza as well? We talk about the Rumble and Survivor Series, WrestlePalooza possibly going 2 nights?
No. I think it's more likely the Rumble would go 2 nights. Elimination Chamber would go 2 nights. Money in the Bank might go 2 nights. Way before WrestlePalooza does. Eventually it's a possibility, but like you said, I mean, this thing didn't even exist a few months ago. So what I took that to mean is, and I think in the report, it said they want it to be, or maybe Mark Shapiro said this, that they want it to be seen in the same vein as like one of the big 4. So if you consider the Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and really now it's Money in the Bank, but Survivor Series being the big 4, they want this to be on par with that. But those shows have equity built into them. They've been around for years and years. So it's not going to become one of the so-called big 4 or big 5, overnight. I took that to mean that they're going to load the shows up every year as much as they possibly can. And in the next few years, maybe they could turn it into one of those marquee events that people feel like are must-see. Maybe they can do that. But that's 3 or 4 years down the road. That's not going to happen after 1 year.
So another major show where they can demand incredible site fees for this type of show.
For a limited time at McDonald's, get a Big Mac extra value meal for $8. That means 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, and medium fries, and a drink.
Hold on, the damn commercial.
Sure. I mean, that's really why they're interested in doing this. But you're also not going to have WrestlePalooza on the same plane as the Rumble or WrestleMania when you book the same 5-match card that Triple H always books. We have 5 matches on the card this weekend. It's ridiculous.
I know. We'll get into that, but
you know, it will never be on that plane when you are limiting it to that events that people you book the same events.
Well, boxing match, it's fucking insane. So, however, Turkai is the final boss, says Meltzer, because he's the guy with all the money in the world at his disposal. The report also notes that the Saudi partners have...
Well, I mean, one of the things he specifically said...
Bringing this one out of retirement, I think we can both agree, all of us can agree, that the guy was probably unhappy the way he was used. He showed up in 24 at the Rumble. You thought, and he thought probably, the grass is probably going to be greener now that Vince is not there and Triple H is in charge and he used me all right in the black and gold era, and things are going to be a little different. He showed up there, and he didn't really get going until a few months after he got signed, and then all of a sudden, him and Carmelo Hayes are carrying SmackDown that summer for a best-of-7 series that resulted in some great matches and a couple pay-per-views for him. It didn't result in anything as far as the United States Championship, because that's what they were doing it for. They went right to that, and then coming out of that, Jason, they decided to put the title on Shinsuke Nakamura. So if you're Andrade looking at that, like, how the fuck are you looking at that and you're a happy guy? You're not. Put the title on Nakamura, he held it, and it was one of the worst reigns ever. He put it back on LA Knight, for LA Knight to then drop it to Jacob Fatu at WrestleMania. And you look at Andrade's body of work, he looks like $1 billion. He's a fucking unbelievable pro wrestler, but you can blame him for shooting himself in the foot here for taking whatever substance, being that he got suspended and another wellness policy violation. I'm not, I'm not blaming him, but if you're gonna blame him, you gotta blame WWE in the same sentence. That's the part I was trying to argue with people when I made a video on this. Like, if you're gonna look at Andrade and blame Andrade, you gotta put equal blame on WWE as well for the way that they handle him and they fucked him up.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the wellness policy goes, my understanding is that you could also be in violation if you don't report, certain things within a certain period of time.
Now, did he withhold that information because he wanted to be fired? That's the thing.
Well, now, I mean, you're getting into conspiracy type stuff now. I mean, let's look at the situation. He left AEW because he was unhappy. Now the belief is that he may have, and again, we can look at it and speculate on our own, that he probably wasn't too thrilled with his position in WWE. How much of that fed into the things he did that led to them letting him go, we don't know. Again, we can put our conspiracy theory hats on.
I think I made this long enough. I don't want to make it too long. I talked about everything. I talked about the news and rumor. We talked about SmackDown. We talked about AEW All Out, WrestlePalooza, the prediction for both of the pay-per-view tomorrow. I will do a live stream on those. Just want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for all the support. Hit that like button. Leave a comment. Please subscribe to my channel. Until then, I'll be back with more. I'll see y'all later.